Hive cities, by their nature, are microcosms of human society, millions of citizens concentrated into a towering metropolis of plasteel and ferrocrete. Sealed, mostly at least, against the hostile atmosphere of Necromunda, these societies endure via ancient mechanical systems and brutal feudalism. Yet, even a self-contained city needs connection to the outside world. Gatehouses, landing grounds, and ashports each form gateways to the toxic world beyond. One such place is the settlement of Port Mad Dog. Every cycle, whether under sickly moonlight or the feeble rays of Necromunda's sun, billions of tons of weapons and other equipment are shipped in through Hive Primus, and then off-world through the Eye of Selene in low orbit. These goods come from the Hive itself, the surrounding hives of the Palatine Cluster, and hundreds of more distant hives. The finest goods, such as crystal toothpicks, fancy hats, and pure drinking water, are brought in by stratoplane heavy lifters flown over the toxic cloud layers from one hive to the next. The most valuable mass-produced goods arrive via transit tubes or what remains of the old underground maglev lines that still connect much of Necromunda. For the rest, overland convoys haul all kinds of material and finished goods across the wastes. And when they reach Hive Primus, it is through the great ash gates that they are brought. The largest of these gates is the one at Port Mad Dog, a settlement which clings to the edge of Hive City Primus and sprawls out into the wastes. Such is the importance of Port Mad Dog that it is ruled with an iron fist by the coin lords of the Makata Gelt, the Guilders, given special authority by the Imperial House to ensure the flow of cargo never stops. It is a responsibility that Hagar Cripplefingers, Lord Miser of the local Mercantor Gelt family, takes very seriously, and gangs from Dust Falls to Big Hole know that if you want easy creds, Hagar is always willing to pay for hired guns to keep the peace. Hagar's peace, of course, usually involves making sure the Guild of Coin is making money, whilst his rivals go begging. Hagar's Longshore clanners make sure that any acceptable losses permitted by the Imperial House are confined to the families of guilds other than his own. A long-standing rivalry between the Guild of Coin and the Slave Guild has seen violence erupt more than once between rival clans and gangs on the streets of Port Mad Dog. It doesn't help that the settlement's exposure to the wastes means it exists in a perpetual twilight of ash clouds and toxic fog, the massive stab lights of the primary loading domes struggling to illuminate the clustered hubs and slave pens that nestle among the long rows of Guilder warehouses. In this poisonous gloom, murder comes easy, and body peddlers make a good living clearing up the streets after each night cycle. Most of the conflict in Port Mad Dog is centered on the massive ore conveyors. Once, these were just huge lifts designed to transport land trains up from the ash roads. Over the centuries, the conveyors have been covered with ramshackle structures that have turned them into moving shanty towns, each one a settlement in its own right. While a conveyor is making the ponderous journey from the ground to the port, its inhabitants, its passengers, are cut off, and many gangs use this opportunity to strike. However, woe to the gang who gets caught mid-heist when the conveyor reaches level with the port. Autocannon turrets and flamers prove Hagar has a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to messing with Guilder trade. This does not stop the gangs. The Sump City Sirens enjoyed a long run raiding Guilder convoys, ambushing them on the conveyors before rappelling down into the wastes to safety. Their run may have continued had Hagar not hidden hundreds of murder servitors in the shipments targeted by the Sirens. Occasionally, workers still open a mysterious crate and get stabbed in the face. Given its location on the edge of Hive Primus, linked to the hive itself, the upper reaches of the Underhive, and the Spider Points, the ash road network that still connects the hives of the Palatine cluster, Port Mad Dog is a natural habitat for scum of all kinds. For outlaws and criminals, it offers a connection to the sanctioned organizations of the Hive, like the guilds or the clan houses, allowing them to move illegal goods or visit established trading posts. The famous Mad Dog fog also works in their favor, as it's hard to identify a ganger when you can't see more than a few yards and everyone is wearing a respirator. Wanderers from ash waste nomads to muties also frequent the dust markets of Port Mad Dog, selling items they've found out in the wastes and buying goods only found within the hives, like reliable weapons and foodstuffs. Of course, Hagar doesn't like these wanderers in the settlement proper, so they are confined mostly to the shanty sprawl beneath the conveyors. Known as the Ash Heap, this is a warren of adobe, ash brick, and corroded sheet metal huts. Periodic purges ensure that Ash Heap doesn't get too big, although even when an ash storm inevitably obliterates it, its residents emerge from their pits to build it once more. The most interesting residence of Port Mad Dog could be found in the Hall of Bullets. Here, in an old imperial shrine paved with spent shell casings, bounty hunters and hive scum come to sell their services to prospective gangs, crime bosses, and guild leaders. Buyers could walk among the alcoves as the hired guns brag about their deeds, show off their skills with pistols and blades. Fighters like Mad Dog Mono and Janus Gore got their starts in the Hall of Bullets. It remains the first stop for many gangers when they come to Port Mad Dog, looking to buy some extra muscle or sell their skills at killing.